Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope you're also enjoying the tutorial series that I'm putting together on how to build this Instagram clone that you can see on the right hand side here, left hand side, sorry. Yeah, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel and you've been watching a few videos, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification as well, and you'll be informed of when I upload any future videos or go live on future videos. Yeah, and if you find the videos of value, please hit the thumbs up button, or if you don't, hit the dislike button. Also, leave a comment as well why you didn't like it, and then I'm trying to improve all the time, so that I just want to try and reach as many people as possible, and so that they can improve on their iOS skill set. And maybe I can learn from others as well. It's all about learning at the end of the day. No one's an expert, or even if they claim to be, every day's a school day. So yeah, please do get involved, and I'm trying to build a little bit of a community around the channel. So if you have been following along, then you will know that in the previous video we looked at dark and light mode, and how we can support that in our app. If you've not seen that video, that'll be appearing at the top now, so go and check that out. And yeah, so this is kind of like just a standard follow-on from that video. So what we're going to do in today's lesson is we're going to actually create the tab bar that you see at the bottom. If you're familiar with Instagram, you'll know that you see this tab bar at the bottom where you can select different view controllers. And so we're going to look at that today, and how we can make that tab bar work in dark and light mode as well with the tintable images. So I've done a bit of pre-work prior to this video starting, and one of the things is I've dragged all the assets that I need into the assets catalog. This will be on my Git page shortly after this video is published, so go to the Git page, the link is in the description below, and go and check out that as well. So I've already added the add image, the like selected and unselected. We're actually using the same like that we have in our newsfeed, so there's no inconsistencies. We also have a home button and a home selected button, search button and search selected. And I've got my profile, which is the avatar that I have on my particular Instagram account, and that will be for the profile view. I've also created some additional view controllers. So we have an image picker view controller. We also have the liked, or activity as it is known in, I think it's activity in Instagram, view controller. We also have our search view controller, and we have our profiles, and we have the corresponding groups set up, so that when we come to work on those view controllers, we have everything set up and everything's in place. And not forgetting, we have the home section as well. So we have our five view controllers set up ready for our tab bar. So and I've also created this base controller group, which is going to be where all of our view controller subclasses will live. So let's get cracking with building this tab bar. So the tab bar in texture, they don't have any subclasses of a tab bar, their own containers. They have, like they do with AS view controller and AS navigation controller and AS pager node, they don't have that. So we're just going to use the raw UI kit stuff, so a UITabBarController class, and we're going to subclass from that, so that we can use it in the fashion that we want to, because we want to implement some delegate methods on that as well. So we're going to create a new class. It's going to be a Cocoa Touch class, and it's going to be a UITabBarController, and we're going to call this TabBarController, and we need to set the language to Swift, and we don't use storyboards, so all the stuff we do today is pragmatic. So yeah, and our language is Swift, like I say. So we're going to create that, and that's cool. So then in our TabBar controller, we need to, well, first of all, we need to get rid of this boilerplate stuff and get rid of that as well. We're going to create a private function called private func setup TabBar, like so. Doesn't take anything, doesn't return anything either. And this is where we're going to implement set our delegates, our delegate method to self, and any sort of styling for the tab bar, what have you. So one thing we do need to add is we need to adhere to the UITabBar delegate, like so. And then so let's set the delegate to begin with. So delegate equals self. Oh, I've picked the wrong delegate there. UITabBar delegate. That should fix those errors. That's all good. Pick the wrong one. And then another thing we need to do is tabbar dot is translucent. We need to set that to false. So by doing this, this will remove all the excuse me. This will remove the frosted effect that you would get on the tab bar. Towards the end of the video, I'll toggle this back to true, and you'll see the difference between. But on the nav bar, if you don't, it's the same way that the nav bar works. So if you if you set this to true, then you have but it's true by default. So you have this frosted effect. So as you scroll, you have the blurred frosted effects that is anyone that's used iOS will be familiar with. And we also need to set our tab bar tint color. TabBar dot tint color, like so. And we need to set that to dot label. And basically, that's what that's going to do. That's going to handle the transition between our icons, so they're going from black to white when we're supporting the dark mode and light mode stuff. So that's that done. And then we need to set up another private function, func tab bar icons, and this will handle the exactly what it says. It'll just handle the tab bar icons. It doesn't take any parameters, and it doesn't return anything. So this is where we're going to be using our images from our assets catalog. And one other function that we need to set up is our controllers. So, and when I say controllers, I don't mean I basically mean our view controllers, but they will be nested in our navigation in a navigation controller. You could set it at the root level, but then it's very difficult to change titles and stuff like that. So it's better to do it on an individual view controller basis. So we call this configure controller, like that. So then in here we can start looking at adding some view controllers nested in navigation controllers. So we're going to say first of all we need to initialize some view controllers up here. So we're going to have let newsfeed controller, like so, and that's going to be of our normal standard view controller, like that. Then we're going to have a search controller, and that's going to be search view controller. Then we're going to have a image picker controller, and we need to set that to image picker view controller. And then we have a liked controller, and that's going to be our liked view controller. And then finally we have our profile, like so. So that's our 5 view controllers that will sit nested in our tab bar. So we are now going to we are now going to set the navigation controllers, which all of those are nested in. So we're going to have feed navigation, or we just call it a navigation controller 1, which represents our home feed. You could call it feed navigation controller. So this is going to be of type AS. Oh, one thing we do need to do is import our async display kit module, and this is going to be of AS navigation controller, and then our root view controller is going to be newsfeed, like so. And then we want to set the navigation controller bar to the is translucent equals false. So this here is going to be navigation, because if we leave it as it is, the default is true, and we'll get that frosted effect on the nav bar. So is translucent equals false, and then we're going to use our good old friend copy and paste. I think I need one more. Yep. And then we just change these values here to 3. I don't need one for 2, which is our image picker, because we're going to do some funky stuff with one of the delegate methods. So that's going to be 3. That's going to be 4. And this one finally is 5, like so. And then these ones need to change to search. This needs to be 2 actually, because this is our second screen. So our third screen is going to present a view controller modally. So you need it to behave differently. That's why we're not actually going to embed it in a navigation controller here. We will actually do it in the view controller itself when we get round to doing that. So we now need to do our liked, so our activity view controller, like controller, and this finally is our profile controller, like so. Those view controllers, or the navigation controller setup, we need to pass all of those in an array to the view controllers attribute that we get on TabBar. So if we create our array, do this, do that, change that to 2, and then here we're going to actually pass in the image picker controller, set that to 4, and then set that to 5. So you might be asking yourself, well, why have I done this and not nested that in a navigation controller the same way I've done this? And that the reason being is that we're now actually going to use the delegate method here of TabBarController, and that's going to be func TabBarController, like that. Let's try and find tab. Why? Yeah, this is the one. We're not did select. There should be another one. Or we can use that actually, and just change it to should select. So that should be should select, and should select returns a value of boolean. So set that to bool. Then basically we need to do some sort of logic here to check if our view controller class type is of type image picker controller. So to do that, we just do if view controller, which is the one that's being passed in here to this delegate, is kind of like that, and then we do image picker view controller dot self. So basically, this is just saying the view controller that's being selected in the tab bar, is it of this type? If it is, then we need to return false, because we don't actually want the tab bar to move to that view controller. We actually want to present another view controller modally. So we set this to false, like that, and then false. And then here, if we're not of that type, then we just return true, so that we will still navigate through. We will still navigate through the tab bar as you would normally. So here in this, we need a little bit extra stuff. So we say let VC image picker controller, boom boom, like so, and then we'll do self.present that one, and then pass in our view controller. Is it animated? We want it to animate modally, yes. And then this one will be nil because we're not worried about the completion at the end of it. So next is now we got that done, we need to in our view did load, we need to call our setup tab bar, and we also need to do our tab bar icons like so. And then in our setup tab bar, right at the end, we're going to configure our controllers. This could get done in here as well. You could put that in here, but I kind of like do it like this so that it's for when I'm debugging. If I set a breakpoint there, then I can check this prior to calling this, and so on. So it's like a step-by-step type thing. Now finally, we need to set up our tab bar icons. So we're going to have let icon 1 equals, and then it's of UI tab bar item like that. And then we've got this one, title. Our title is going to be an empty string. Instagram doesn't have a title, but it does have an image. So our UI image is going to be named that one, and we pass in a string, and we just need to make sure that we get the right name, which is home empty, we've called it. So our a default image, when it's not selected, is called home empty, like that. And then we'll just copy and paste that into there, like so. And I believe I called it home field. Yeah, I did. Home field, like so. And then finally, we need to say that we need to bind which icon, which view controller this icon needs to listen to. So this is going to be our newsfeed controller. Newsfeed controller dot tab bar item, like so, and that's going to be called icon 1. You could put all this on one line, so you could just like move that down to here, so it's all on one line. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to do it this way. There's no right or wrong, but if you want to just see one line functions, you could do it like that, or you could just have a method that you called, and you change the string accordingly based on the tab bar that you were setting up. So we're just going to kind of cheat a little bit and do copy and paste and change the values. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this up a little bit because you don't really want to see me changing these values. So I'll speed it up and I'll catch up with you shortly. Okay, so I've got everything in place, and as you can see, icon 3 and icon, it's 0 indexed. So we could actually match it, make it match the icon. So icon 3 and icon 5, they don't have a selected image, so we just set the tag value, and then that's pretty much all we need to do in this section. So quick run over, we just initialize 5 view controllers. We've got our view did load, which is standard in a view controller. We set up the tab bar and the tab bar icons here. So we call this private method here. Set the delegate, set the bar to translucent, set the tint color. The tint color is handling the dark and light mode. And then we call our custom function called configure controllers. Then we've got this private tab bar function here, which basically handles the selected and unselected state of the tab bar icons. And then that's pretty much it for that function. And then we've got configure controllers, and we nest our view controllers inside navigation controllers, except for this one, so that we can listen for the class or the class type that it is. Because if we nest it inside that navigation controller, it will be of type navigation controller, so we can't adhere to this logic here. But there's no reason why when we present that view controller we can nest it in a navigation controller here, same way that we would do it in this function here. But we're not going to, because we're going to use a third-party library when it comes to setting up our image picker. There's one out there that looks very similar to the Instagram image picker that everyone is familiar with, but when we get to that page we'll cover that in more detail. So now that's done, we need to head on back to our scene delegate, and we need to do some refactoring in here. So first of all, we need to get rid of this block of code here, and then we need to change this to a TabBar controller like that, and then our root view controller now is actually the tab bar, not the navigation bar. So now if we were to stop and build and run, fingers crossed, hopefully I've done everything and not missed anything, we should build and we should have our tab bar at the very bottom of the of our newsfeed. And there we do. We have our tab bar. So as we go through our view controllers, that actually presented modally. It's quite difficult to see. So what I might do is just put a title in there shortly, and we navigate to our liked. That's all good. And then if we navigate to our profile, that's all good. But as you can see here, our profile image is not showing, and the reason being is because we need to do some additional work on our tab bar. So here on our UI image, we need to do with rendering mode, and then if we set that to always original, so whatever the original value, the original asset is, it will always pop that into our tab bar, because at the moment it's doing some other rendering method. So we're explicitly telling it that whatever we pass it in, it has to adhere to that. So if you now recompile, build and run, you'll see that our profile image appears. Like so. And we have our profile image appearing in our profile section. Now just to prove that we are actually switching tabs, what I'm going to do is change the background color or add a title to each view controller, because as you can see, our InstaClone title that we had at the top is no longer here. So we can fix that now by going to our view controller, and then we can set up a private function private function called set up navbar, like so. And then here we'll do navigation controller dot navigation bar dot top item. Oh, that's wrong. Navigation bar dot top item dot title. So this is the center title of the navigation controller. We call this insta clone, like so. And then we need to call this in our, let's make a pragmark here. Oops. Call this view a life cycle, like that. And then we have our view did load method, call super on that, like so. And then we can just have set up navbar, because this code here, we can't put it here because this is actually loaded before the view is loaded, so our navigation controller is going to be nil. So we'll put it here so that when the view is loaded into memory, then our navigation controller will no longer be nil. And we kind of need to do the same for our all the other controllers. And just do a bit of housekeeping there. Oops. So we can kind of like just copy. Again, these view controllers, you could have a parent, and then you could just change the navigation title accordingly. So you could have this method that takes a string, and then based on the view controller that's currently active, you would change the title. You could do it that way. There's lots of ways you can kind of do it, but I'm just going to use our trusty friend copy and paste. Whoops. Tidy that up. So this is going to be yeah, we're not too worried about this one because we're over we're not. Yeah, we will. We'll just call it image picker for now. And then our light view controller, do the same, paste. I believe this is called activity in Instagram. Again, if I'm wrong, please put something in the comments and correct me. This is search. The search navigation bar doesn't have the word search in it. Actually, just has the search a text field, UI text field. But we are going to cover that when we will actually cover how to implement a search bar in the navigation controller when we get to this particular view. And then finally, our profile. So our profile is, for me, is that iOS developer, like so. I think that should do it. So if we build and run now, we should be, as we toggle through our tab bar, we should see these titles changed. There we go. We have InstaClone, we have search, we have activity, and we have that iOS developer. And then if we do that, you'll see the transition, the modal, and then we just slide that down, and that's it. And then if we go home and toggle to dark mode, we'll probably find that our view controller backgrounds won't actually update. They may still be black in some cases. So yeah, that iOS developer is still black, but our newsfeed is going to work accordingly. That there, and same with this one. Yeah, the actual view itself is not being supported for light and dark mode, but when we get to those particular view controllers, we'll cater for that. So that's pretty much it. That's how you create a UITabBarController subclass and you do it all programmatically. It's probably a little bit more long-winded than using storyboards, but me personally, I feel you have a lot more control over what you are doing if you do it programmatically. I'd like to hear other people's comments on using storyboards over code, or vice versa, whether you prefer using code over storyboards or storyboards over code. It's always going to be an ongoing discussion. So yeah, feel free to come and find me on Twitter, or come find me on Instagram, or leave a comment below on the channel, and we can open up that discussion. And it'd be good to hear other people's opinions on that topic. So yeah, a nice little video today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said at the beginning, please subscribe to the channel. Please share it with anyone that you know that's an iOS developer or a budding iOS developer that wants to learn some new frameworks. How to build UIs. Give us a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, or if you found the video of no value to you whatsoever, don't just leave. Put a thumbs down and put something in the comments and say, I didn't like this because of this, and this, and I will improve. I'll improve on that. And that's what it's all about. I want to reach as many people as I can. And I want to provide as much value as I can to you guys that watch. So, yep. Again, I hope you've had a fantastic day and you've really enjoyed this video and you're enjoying the tutorial series. In the next video, let's talk about the next video. In the next video, we're going to look at building out the profile section of Instagram, and we'll start building out the UI. So our placeholder image and our number of likes and what have you, and all the different sections. Then the collection view at the bottom that continually grows. Not quite sure how I'm going to handle that with the amount of images yet, but I'll come up with a solution. So that's what's happening in the next video. So hope to see you there, and I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.